Previously on the MidFlight Crisis. What is this place?
Aurelia, desert planet of the Aurum system.
If Suport is alive, she'd be heading that way too.
Freeze, don't move. Are you Charles Azimuth and Matthew Agnes?
You didn't mention you're an empress of an entire planet.
It never came up in conversation. Gentlemen, allow me to reintroduce you to Justin Case, former captain of the Escapade. I'm throwing a masquerade tonight dedicated to your bravery and heroism in the face of certain death.
Aurelian sand dragons are very special creatures. They were accidentally created on Earth prior to the event of which we must never speak. They live for hundreds of years, and they have diamond-sharp teeth. They bite the fabric of space-time. If bitten by a baby sand dragon, your body will revert back to its physiological state exactly 1 solar year from your present time. Adult sand dragons know better than to mess with the fabric of space-time, so they don't cause the same effects with their bite. You're just bitten and then eaten. I'm sorry, what was your question again?
I asked if you knew the whereabouts of Mr. Azimuth and Mr. Aeon Air.
Oh, those two. Over there by the desert bar. Red cloaks. Can't miss them.
Dedicated to the bravery and heroism of Charles Azimuth and Matt... Looks like your name's smudged here.
Looks like she did already have this cake ready.
You are coming with me.
Whoa, Jessica? From Cryo Corp?
What are you doing here?
I don't have time to explain. You're in great danger.
We're constantly in great danger. How's this different?
There's too many people listening in on us. We've got to leave quietly. You're in terrible danger right now.
I don't think so. Guards! Guards!
Jessica,
Hello, Susanna.
you came back here, of all places? You show your face in my court?
Do you know her?
Of course. Jessica Ravencott, upper middle manager of Cryo Corp, 2-time defending champion of competitive underwater basket weaving in 3 systems.
4 systems. They've recently picked up the sport in Philgretti.
All right, 4. But most importantly, she's a former member of my royal guard.
Insert emotional response here.
That was a lifetime ago. Tell your guards to lower their weapons.
Lower yours. And your partner, too.
Great Gatsby.
It looks like we have an old-fashioned Martian standoff. I brought my vintage phasers for such an occasion.
You're a member of Cryo Corp?
Contractor, yes. If we're going into specifics, that's how I knew of your mission.
Did you find it?
Yes, it's 2 floors below us, in the library.
Susanna, tell your men to stand down. We're here for our employees.
Lower your weapons, and you may make it out of here alive.
Oh, hey everyone. Sorry I'm late. I wanted this batch of bundt cakes to be super special for the Empress Center guests. I took a few extra minutes for the cakes to cool so that the glaze wouldn't be runny. We have lemon, red velvet, chocolatey chip.
Now isn't really good.
Your timing is impeccable. Impeccably bad.
Read the room.
I'll take a red velvet one. Thanks.
Really?
Well, I mean, he put a lot of work to whip these cakes up in such a short notice. It would be rude not to.
Our company received a distress call when Mr. Azimuth and Mr. Avon Hare's ship crash-landed.
That's a little closer. Once more, Aeon Air.
You're the one who shot us down.
I'm sorry, what did he say?
He said her ship was the one that shot ours down.
I did no such thing. The ship that attacked you was a rogue agent from the company. I'm here to bring you back, safe and sound.
Why should we believe you?
We've already wired the money to your accounts for your completed job. Would we have done that if we wanted to kill you?
It checks out. I also did a rough scan of the attack vessel from earlier. Neither she nor Gatsby were on board.
Don't think eating someone else's heart will help you grow your own, Jessica.
Dora Bun Cake! Not now.
I am not heartless.
I know you, Jessica. You're not telling the whole truth. You sent them to that ship knowing what was happening.
Yeah, we all saw what was on that ship. The virus, it's...
Getting worse. That's what we feared. We at Cryo Corp.
You're a long way from the company, Jessica.
I thought it was a risk to send them there, but we didn't know for sure. They have crucial information that could save countless passenger ships.
Strangely enough, your actions brought them to me, and they saved my life. I will return the favor and let you walk out of my court. You're free to go.
They're coming with me.
It's their decision. Wait, what's that sound? Oh no, Frosties. Quick, to the emergency staircase.
Where are we going?
There's a library 2 floors below us. We'll barricade ourselves down there.
Good idea. Hey, Susanna, are you all right?
Yeah, just a headache. That's all. We're here. Let's get something to hold the door.
Oh, there's a table over here. Help me push.
Great. We're safe for now. We just need to wait for my guards to find us when the coast is clear.
This place is enormous.
The largest collection in 7 systems. We say there are 2 stories of stories here. Gilded ladders on rollers flanking either side with a golden spiral staircase taking you up to the reading room. Plushy, high-backed armchairs and crackling fires always greeted me when I was a curious kid looking for a good book. Now, this place is hardly used. We have literary works from all over, including Earth, before that thing happened.
It's better not to talk about it.
Agreed. Definitely. Yeah. All I see are rows upon rows of dusty books. Oh, can we browse?
Why, certainly. Mi biblioteca es su biblioteca.
Excuse me?
You'll find languages located 3 bookcases down and on your left.
All right, then. I'll pick a random book first. I'm sure each one is a treasure in and of itself. Like, this one here. Glow Coat, the shiniest substance ever invented. It says staring directly at it for more than a minute will burn your retinas. Who knew?
What exactly are we looking for?
A doorway. I'll know it when I see it. There's a locator device I've brought, but it will take some time for it to run through the list of books until it's found the one we're looking for in particular. There's something I wanted to show you. I haven't been entirely honest with you. I know what a serendibite is, and I learned about it from here.
The Chronicles of Clonosiasite. A complete history of the serendibite.
Look at the spine. It's inlaid with serendibite gems.
It has everything. The history of the serendibite, where they are and how to find them, and even a tutorial on how to make your own. This book's amazing.
And yours to keep. I figure it'll be in good hands.
Do we have time to read one of these serendibites?
Until the tracker finds the special book that unlocks the vault, and then we'll have access.
Let's ready a serendibite then.
The kitchens of today can be more beautiful in 1949 because this year there's a better, brighter, self-polishing floor wax. It's 1949 Glow Coat. Yes, bright as it's always been, this year Glow Coat is brighter than ever, better than any. Try 1949 Glow Coat on your linoleum this week.
And that, according to NASA, is how fleas jump faster than the space shuttle. True story.
Guess it's time to invest in that flea circus after all. And we're back! Broadcasting from our studio on the pale blue dot we call Earth. We've got a great show for you today.
That's right. Today we're discussing a literal crisis.
The literary
crisis.
crisis. So Albert Einstein is...
Albert Einstein.
Is it Stein?
I have no idea.
Okay, I've always heard Stein.
It's
Albert
probably
Einstein.
Stein.
Probably the most well-known genius of our generation, next to Stephen Hawking's, maybe, perhaps. He is credited with, although he possibly never said this, someone said, everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid.
Fish are notoriously bad tree climbers.
Indeed, they are.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about literacy today. Now, put simply, literacy is defined as the ability to read and write. However, it can also refer to competency for a certain task or area of tasks. Conversely, or oppositely, illiteracy is the inability to read and write.
Well, that goes without saying. And as we turn the page, you probably are well aware of my favorite cognitive neuroscientist, Mark Seidenberg. He had a well-known quote that, "My concern about the emphasis on multiple literacies is that it devalues the importance of reading and teaching reading at a time when they need more attention, not less." So, how is literacy measured? There's one of three basic ways: useful, informational, and leisure literacy. Now, useful would include roadways and signage, allowing an individual to navigate himself or herself through a population center. So essentially trying to get yourself around, right? Yeah. Informational would comprise books, magazines, newspapers, provide continual foundational knowledge as well as updated knowledge, including with news. And finally, leisure literacy would include text, messages, and other media that would provide entertainment to an individual.
So that would be like the, historically, academically speaking, the lowest level of literacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the pumpkin spice latte of literacy. Basic.
Emoji, insert emoji.
Exactly.
So now those are very simple definitions. This can get very complicated, but the actual data and statistics vary wildly depending on the parameters used to determine quote unquote literacy.
I do remember that there was a 2003 USA study. I always remember these. Very fundamentally important.
You have that photographic memory.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called?
Eidetic photographic.
Eidetic. That's it. I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking Iditarod. That's a race somewhere.
Yeah, that's with dogs and everything. That's a lot different than what we were talking about.
Eidetic. Okay.
Well, one of my roommates in college had a photographic eidetic memory.
Oh, really?
So one of my roommates in undergrad at the time, an actual photographic eidetic memory, what he would do is at the beginning of every semester, he would buy all of his books, and then he would memorize each page in every book in all of his classes. That would take him about a week. After the end of a single week, he would actually return the books, get the money back from that, because there was a week waiting period in which if you were to return the books for whatever reason, you get your money back.
You get full refund.
You get a full refund, yeah. So anytime a teacher brought up anything regarding whatever specific part of the book that they were talking about, he would know exactly where it was.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That would make school life so much easier.
So teachers thought he was effectively cheating because he was pulling information verbatim from the text, and he had to take tests in front of the teachers at one point in order to show them that he was able to remember all of the texts from the books verbatim and then use it as answers for his test.
I wish I had an eidetic memory.
Mm-hmm. It would make things so much easier.
I wish I had a normal memory.
Wait, who are you?
Where are we? What year is it?
The year is 2003, and a USA study had determined that their definition of literacy included the ability to use printed and written information to function in society, to achieve one's goals, and to develop one's knowledge and potential. This culminates in 3 different levels of literacy, according to the study. Prose, ability to comprehend a newspaper article. Document, ability to interpret a schedule. And quantitative, the ability to use arithmetic from an advertisement.
So basically what you were saying earlier were the 3 levels of literacy, which were, what were they? Useful, informational, and leisure.
Yes.
Basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's another couple studies, and we've got quite a few of these actually, but the United Nations in 2015 defined literacy as...
Oh, that's a very good study.
Yeah, I was going. United Nations, everywhere. The percentage of the population aged 15 to 24 who can both read and write with understanding a short, simple statement on everyday life. And then in 2016... the European Literacy Policy Network defined literacy as the ability to read and write in all media, print or electronic, including digital literacy.
And then let's not forget the hot 2018 UNESCO study, the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate, compute using printed and written information associated with varying contexts was the most recent adaptation of the definition of literacy.
Until
2019, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, pronounced OECS, the ability to...
That's got to be correct. That's got to be what they said.
It's got to be correct. The ability to understand, evaluate, use, and engage with written text in order to participate in society, achieve one's goals, and develop one's knowledge and potential.
Oh, except for the study in 2021, which was from the International Literacy Association.
Yeah, that's in Newark, Delaware, right?
Yeah, Newark, Delaware. Oh, you heard of this study?
No, I've heard of Newark.
Okay. They defined literacy as anything expressed through audible materials across disciplines and in any context in its definition of literacy. For example, the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, compute, and communicate using visual, audible, and digital materials across disciplines and in any context. So basically what we're saying here, as you can see from all of these studies, literacy is not completely well defined. There are quite a few parameters one can use to determine what literacy means. And in the growing and evolving world that we live in with digital media, along with written texts and academia, literacy can mean quite a few things. Now, for some reason, in 1950, prior to that, literacy pretty much specifically meant reading and writing. But in 1950, there was a morphing, if you will, where the definition of literacy could mean solely reading and writing or a few other things.
So you can have literacy in computer systems, and developing computer literacy, the ability to navigate and use a computer, becomes much more apparent in modern day society right now. There's functional literacy, the ability to navigate society successfully. That's a different type of literacy. And then there's social literacy, the ability to be a productive and interactive member of society, not necessarily just functional, but contributional.
Right. And then there's also financial literacy. I personally do not have this because I'm terrible with my finances.
What budget?
Budget? What? Budget? Is that French?
Yeah, it's a French term.
Okay. But no, that on a more serious note, that's the ability to budget and manage investments or plan for the future. Something you and I deal with quite often is health literacy, which is the ability to use available information to make decisions about health situations. That can be for yourself, or if you have a parent or a loved one that is not of sound mind and body, to make decisions for them, not being able to read or basically understand health decisions. And a lot of times health decisions are kind of complicated. So this is more than just being able to read and write. This is understanding human nature on several levels. And not everybody's going to disagree, is going to agree or disagree on that. So also numerical literacy, basically arithmetic, being able to add, subtract, to know the change that you're going to get back if you pay in cash at a bookstore or coffee shop.
And that works well at home, but let's go abroad for a second. Cultural literacy is also very important. There's a certain ethnocentricity endemic to
America.
That. It's a problem many face when traveling abroad, that they carry with them their own filter and perspective.
So you're telling me not everywhere is America?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Contrary to popular belief.
Red, white, and blue forever.
There's digital literacy. It's a big issue with elderly populations because it's hard for them to adjust to a growing technological base and a technological climate. That dovetails into computer literacy that we talked about earlier. And then early literacy. What a child knows about communication before learning to read and write is also very important in the child's development.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Mark Twain, a famous author, very apt quote here. He said, "The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read." So let's talk about where all of this started, the invention of writing. Now, you fans may remember from a previous episode about money that writing
Shout out to all of our fans out there that have listened to all the previous episodes.
This is the first payoff for listening to the MidFlight Crisis. Thank you so much for listening.
Golden opportunity.
Oh, dear Lord, here we go again. No, but tie into accounting and keeping records for payments was kind of the starting of writing. In ancient Sumer, around 3000 BC, there are some scripts that were found that possibly started all of this. There are different character styles and scripts throughout history, but they're thought to have developed independently 5 times and in 5 different individualized civilizations. Those include Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, the Indus civilization, which I had to look up. That was southern Asia near the Indus River, hence Indus civilization, and Mesoamerica, which most people think of as modern-day Mexico and Central America. Now, Egypt was the first style known to have phonetic values, so basically sounds for each individual hieroglyph or each individual character.
And the Chinese had a very complicated system where symbols more or less represented an entire word, hence an extensive alphabet of nearly 50 to 100,000 characters.
Whoa. We have 26. America.
Yeah. America.
50,000 minimum?
Yeah.
Wow.
But useful characters for modern speaking was about 3,000 to 6,000.
That's a lot of lost words.
A lot more manageable. Each symbol basically equated to a syllable or a root, kind of like a suffix or a prefix in the English language.
Wow. That is probably why it's one of the most difficult languages to learn.
But other cultures, I believe, used glyphs, right?
Yeah. In Mesoamerica, like the Mayan culture, they used hieroglyphs similar to Egypt. But they also mixed in bars and dots. Now, similar to Braille, as far as appearance, not necessarily feel, but just dots and lines mixed in with the actual characters. The Indus civilization, their writing they created, we have not deciphered it yet, but it is largely pictorial. And there's a debate over the origin of the alphabet as we know it. Some believe that it was invented in ancient Greece, but that's kind of possibly not true. We'll talk about that in just a sec.
Also, it could be aliens.
Aliens.
So the jury's still out.
You didn't see my hand gesture in my hair there, but aliens.
Because aliens. Now, Frank Serafini, a children's author, had said, "There is no such thing as a child who hates to read. There are only children who have not found the right book."
I don't know if I agree with him. I think
there's children that don't like to read at all.
I've never liked to read. TV is like the future of the book to me.
It's just easier to have someone explain and show you pictures versus coming up with something on your own, right?
Well, for me, but now my wife totally disagrees with me. She would much rather read the book than watch the movie or the TV show.
So why is literacy important? Why is it important to read at all?
I don't think it is.
Well,
totally useless.
2/3 of students who don't learn to read by 4th grade will wind up imprisoned. Coincidentally, 70% of inmates can't read above a 4th grade level. So you can posit that there is a strong correlation between literacy and crime. Literacy is also a way to preserve culture.
Oh, absolutely. You write it down, it stays around for a long time. Now, the U.S. took control of Guam, a random historical fact here, after World War II, and virtually killed the native language of Chamorro. The literacy rate for the native language is only at 20% now. I traveled to Ireland a couple years ago, and it's very similar in Gaelic. They have schools that teach exclusively in Gaelic. And it's funny, our tour guide was telling us the children of this certain couple that she's friends with brought their test home, but it was all in Gaelic, and the parents only spoke English. So they had no idea what they were signing, like, what the grade was or anything. The kids were like, "Oh yeah, it's great. It's a good grade. It's
put
fine.
your name at the bottom.
Just sign
of the
it,
form."
and I'll take it back." But no, that's sad. Culture is lost when one culture takes over another, and we lose kind of the existence or the personhood of people before the second culture took over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 2011, America was the only country. Unfortunately, it was the only country in which the current generation was less educated overall than the previous.
Land of the free! Wait, did you say less educated?
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, no, that's not good. There was one survey that 53% of fourth graders said they read daily for entertainment, while only 20% said the same in eighth grade.
You made me very happy, and then you made me very sad.
Right? Well, that's facts and figures for you. 75% of Americans who receive food stamps perform at the lowest 2 levels of literacy, unfortunately, and 90% of high school dropouts are on welfare. And also, reports show that the rate of low literacy in the United States directly coincides with costs in healthcare industry, up to over $70 million every year.
That is quite a chunk. And it's probably from just the fact that these folks cannot read their prescriptions. They can't read their discharge paperwork. They don't know what to do when they get home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in 2013, Washington, D.C., on a happy note, was ranked the most literate American city for the third year in a row. Seattle and Minneapolis close behind. So, way to
I
go,
heard about
D.C.
Long Beach, California was ranked illiterate, right?
Yeah, I was going to cheer on D.C., Seattle, and Minneapolis for a second. But yeah, we can go there. Long Beach, California, unfortunately, the most illiterate city. Followed closely by Mesa, Arizona, and Aurora, Colorado.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Also, the U.S. has the largest population of immigrants, relatively speaking. No, okay. I thought it was a good one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that was a good one.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right, we'll fix it in post.
Oh. In 2018, another survey revealed only about half of those immigrants over age 5 could speak English at 53%.
Wow, that's a remarkable figure right there. So, not being literate severely limits access to jobs and education benefits, leads to higher poverty rates. We agree on that, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So, higher education costs in the U.S. has increased by over 500% since the 1980s, and that coincides with the rising illiteracy.
Yeah,
in some areas.
It's expensive to continue your education, like really expensive now compared to 30, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So let's go global once again. We're going from Ireland to South Sudan. South Sudan has the highest illiteracy rate at over 73% of the population. Now, the top 10 countries with the highest illiteracy rates are well over 50% of the population unable to read and or write. So the global literacy rate is about 85% or higher, and it is roughly 90% for males and 83% for females.
So the vast majority of humans on the planet can read.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The U.S. itself has an 86% literacy rate, and we're currently ranked 125th in the world in literacy, unfortunately.
Well, but still, that's not a bad statistic because that's still a pretty high percentage for being 125th. But roughly 1 in 10 people worldwide are illiterate. And historically, the literacy rate has had to be over 40% for a country to grow economically. Did you know that's in the Middle Ages, or not the Middle Ages, rather the Dark Ages, that's why there was such a stagnant growth? Literacy was maintained to just the church, basically.
So only the church group knew anything about reading or writing.
Yeah, well, and a few aristocrats who really cared to take the time. But
aristocrats or aristocats?
That's a good movie. I haven't seen that in a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody wants to be a cat.
But no, it was the church member or the church, the clergy basically, or the aristocrats who had time to actually study and read and write. Everybody else was working like crazy. From 1990 to 2000, the literacy rate actually fell, which is kind of surprising, but fell by 12%. Now, since 2000 till now, it's only fallen 1%. So in 20 years, 1% is much better than a fall of 12% over 10 years.
That seems like an improvement to me.
Oh, absolutely. And closing the literacy gap between men and women in developing countries could be helpful in a couple of ways. What do you think about that?
I think it would help the GDP. That could rise 1.2% in a single year from increased productivity from country to country. It's also conjectured that literacy would decrease early marriage of girls in Africa and Asia as well, potentially up to a 60% decrease in girls married by the age of 15.
Whoa, so girls are getting married before age 15 just because they can't read and write?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
So more independence will coincide with greater literacy rates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about written language.
Let's talk about it.
So we started, or humankind, I should say, started with written language known as the ideograph. It's similar to what you might think of as a cave drawing. It represents a concept rather than a word. It's similar to a pictograph, or if you've ever played Pictionary, probably the first true form of writing, just back in caveman days. It was thought to be unable to be used to fully express language because you're only using concepts. You're not using full ideas. You're not writing a sentence in a paragraph.
So it's more like the Reader's Digest version of prehistoric times.
Well, the pictures on the Reader's Digest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, the Chinese language is still often thought to be ideographic, but technically it's a logosyllabic language.
Well, I could have told you that.
Yeah. We talked about that earlier, actually, where the sections of, or the each character defines a portion of a word, where like the root, the suffix, prefix, the postfix. Postfix? No. Prefix, suffix, and root. I'm sorry. Postfix.
The afterfix?
I'm going to trademark it. No. The afterfix. I like that too.
Yeah.
But no, that's what Chinese is logosyllabic. So it's each part of the word is represented by a character.
So logosyllabic would be a complex script, and that's similar to hieroglyphs.
Right.
Yeah, like Egyptian hieroglyphs or those of the Mayan Empire. And then the logographs would be similar to Chinese script.
Right.
Yeah. So there's also syllabary.
Syllabary?
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 I have no idea. I'm going to say syllabary. I think you're right.
Now, whatever that word is a blend of consonant and vowels as we know them. The vowel sounds may be redundantly written in addition to consonant sounds, which may also be containing a form of the vowel sound.
So basically a little bit of redundancy just because of the form of the language.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a few more distinctions of alphabets as far as like logosyllabic and syllabary, but they're very similar and they're very difficult to explain and complicated. There's also...
So let's get through them, shall we?
Oh, no, please, God, no. No, there's really no...
We do this so you guys don't have to do the research.
As I was looking through this, there is really no history of value that I saw. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys will write to us about it. But basically, that's kind of where we got to the modern alphabets. The modern alphabet is up for debate where it started, but a lot of historians think the modern alphabet came from Canaan around 1500 BC. Other people will argue that it occurred in ancient Greece around 750 BC. So take what you will from that and do your own research, see what you can find.
Now, the true modern alphabet uses symbols that represent an individual sound through vowels or consonants, not the whole idea, not part of a word, and nothing more than one sound. It's a linear alphabet written in lines, just that simple. This is how English is written.
Right. Now, there also are other alphabets, a manual alphabet.
As opposed to automatic.
The 6-speed.
Mm-hmm.
This is used specifically for sign language. It's funny, you can't write it down because it's a picture, it's a gesture that you used when performing sign language.
We're actually doing it right now.
To each other, yes.
Yeah.
You guys can't see that. We'll show you in video later.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Braille, which are raised bumps. Of course, everybody knows that Braille, that's for the visually impaired to be able to read.
Mm-hmm. There's the International Maritime Signal Flags. They're colored pattern flags used to communicate ship to ship. And Morse code, which is the ...
Right. And I actually have something for you guys to listen to right now.
Wow, that was amazing.
Yeah. So that is MidFlight Crisis in Morse code. Now, there's also something known as an optical telegraph. I really don't think we use these very much anymore.
That doesn't sound like a real thing.
It is. It's the use of a device. They had these weird things that kind of looked like windmills back in medieval Europe. They were known as semaphores, but they conveyed visual information. Like over long distance, you could look out and see this device moving kind of like a big clock to tell time, but it was speaking in some kind of its own language. So that was an interesting thing I found. Now, there's also a flag semaphore. That is, from what I understood, similar to what you would picture in medieval tournaments when they were announcing who the champion was that was coming up to joust. Or even possibly like a plane landing, and we've all seen in movies. I don't think they really do this in real life, but in movies they do a plane landing and they do flag signals, left, right, up, down, that kind of thing. So that is a flag semaphore.
So you could use that for a medieval plane landing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just imagining it now.
Ye old airlines.
Ye old airlines. Budget and brew. Now, we haven't actually started talking about speed reading yet. You're probably wondering what speed reading is.
What's speed
I'm glad
reading?
you asked. Most people read an average of 250 words per minute.
I read that fast?
Yeah. The average speed reader can both read and comprehend information up to 500 words per minute. After that threshold, comprehension becomes a little difficult. So well-trained speed readers can actually reach 1,000 to 1,500 words per minute with moderate comprehension of the text.
Well, now, how does that translate to, how many pages is that per minute, do you know?
So that's about 2 to 3 pages read in a minute.
Wow. That's pretty fast. That's way faster than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we stop ourselves from reading more effectively by sounding out each word as we say them, and that's known as subvocalization. The best way to overcome this is by reading a text as a block of words rather than each individual word. You can do this by relaxing the muscles in your face before you read and expanding your gaze so you're using your periphery to catch larger sections of text.
That's interesting. And then another staple of speed reading is the pointer method, where you trace your finger beneath the words at a steady pace. This alone will actually boost your words per minute by several hundred, and a lot of people use that in schools today.
Wow. I wish I had that trick back in school for us.
Yeah.
Finally, you can preview the text or scan the page. I actually do this quite a bit for pretty much daily applications. But if you scan ahead, this lets you know the areas which are going to require a little bit more focus and in which greater comprehension may be necessary.
Mm-hmm. The most popular speed reading system that implements most of these valuable methods is called Evelyn Wood's. But there's a secret to very effective speed reading. So do you want to know what that is?
Tell me.
Do you really want to know?
Tell me, please.
Okay, I'll tell you. The best speed readers remove that internal voice pronouncing those words, that subvocalization, as well as creating a movie that plays as he or she follows a block of text vertically.
They read a book like watching a movie.
Yeah. So if you get to that level of photographic internalization, you can actually make a own film for yourself while you're reading.
I have to learn this magic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about something everybody's heard about, the Rosetta Stone.
A magic stone.
Kind of. I mean, it was in Egypt. So, yeah, okay, I can't argue with it. Rosetta Stone, yes. Side fact, by the way, there was a Memphis, Egypt. Like Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah. I'm sure Egypt came first before Tennessee.
Just slightly.
Yeah, a couple years off. There was Tutankhamun, Elvis, Nero.
They played the same club before it closed. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But no, the Rosetta Stone was used to decipher Egyptian hieroglyphics. It was basically a decree from Ptolemy in Memphis in ancient Egypt, and it was written in Greek as well as Egyptian. And the languages weren't very different as far as the interpretation. Sometimes they say things are lost in interpretation, even from something as simple as, or as what we would perceive as simple from English to Spanish. Some things are lost occasionally. You just cannot translate it. But basically, these writings were very similar, so it was easy to translate. And we actually didn't know how to read hieroglyphics until we found this Rosetta Stone and found this same decree written in 3 different languages.
And that was pretty modern times, right?
Yeah, that was relatively recently.
Relatively recently.
In the 1900s.
Yeah. Now, Frederick Douglass, abolitionist and statesman, had said, once you learn to read, you will be forever free, which I agree with. The more knowledge you obtain, the higher your aspirations and goals that you can obtain as well. One often thought that common people in ancient civilizations were illiterate, but that was most likely untrue. Roman civilization was full of text everywhere, and citizens couldn't afford to be illiterate.
I don't think they really texted in Rome.
Probably not. I mean, I'm sure that would have been pretty expensive in order to carve out a piece of marble just to say that you were happy about, like, you know, hanging out with your friend Becky on a Saturday night, you know, outside of the Coliseum on, like, your first date. And you figure it was going to go well, but, you know, you're thinking, like, oh, this chariot's on fire, if you know what I mean. And kind of try to...
I started that. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. Long story short, the fall of Western Rome began the Dark Ages.
One thing led to another.
Yeah. As the progression of events occurs, this is when literacy rates fell to below 30 to 40% of the population. Now, writing materials such as papyrus was no longer imported due to the lack of infrastructure, obviously with the fall of Rome and fall of logistics. Parchment paper became the writing medium of choice, but it was very expensive for common people. Church became the main component of literacy because they were the main source of wealth during that era. Now, the church eventually began pushing for importance of reading the Bible, leading to the Reformation. Then literacy began rising again by the 17th century.
Wow. That is a long time from the Middle Ages, or the beginning of the Dark Ages, all the way to the Reformation, for people to be illiterate. Now, another thing that helped with literacy rates after the Dark Ages was the rise of industrialization. Anyone who wanted to have a job in an industry needed to know how to read the manual to understand how to operate the machine they were using. Now, on an upswing, North America, Europe, Western, and Central Asia have all established almost full literacy rates. I kind of have a feeling that technology might play a role. Texting, using social media, you basically using a smartphone, you have to know how to read, which is a very good boost and a very good motivation.
Boost Mobile.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not a paid sponsor yet.
Now, unfortunate sad fact, in developing countries, the child of a literate mother is 50% more likely to survive to age 5 than the child of an illiterate mother.
Wow. Well, let's try to end it on a positive note, shall we?
I like that.
Thomas Carlyle, Scottish historian and writer, had said, all that mankind has done, thought, gained, or been, it is lying as in magic preservation in the pages of books.
A beautiful and eloquent ending.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge is a very powerful weapon.
That's true.
But actual weapons are also great. Looks like we're ready to go on this tracker. We keep part of the armory here in the Royal Vault, along with some heirloom pieces. Getting closer. Closer. Oh, here it is. The Natural Wonders of Tangula, an official tourist guidebook. We'll just pull this book to activate the unlocking mechanism and voila.
Oh my God, Particle. There are bricks of gold stacked to the ceiling.
And the weapons. Well, you've got enough here for a small army. Crystal snap grenades. Oh, look over here at Aurelian quill guns. Cavendish mini rockets. Oh, wait. Is that a necklace in the center of the vault?
The reason why we're here. The reason why Cryo Corp is here.
The cure.
They're here.
How is anyone surprised by all this?
How did they make it inside?
You've gotten past my guards, I see.
It's not so difficult when I used to be one of them.
You've done all the work for us. We certainly appreciate the effort.
You're not leaving here with the necklace, Jessica.
You haven't told them, I bet? Think of all the people you could have helped, but you've kept the secret for yourself.
Don't listen to them. Jessica is a traitor and a liar. She came here just to steal the royal treasures after she unleashed the Frosties on the party.
You did that to your own citizens.
Matt, Charley, she's trying to deceive you. Jessica sent you on a one-way trip. The company doesn't care about you. If you stay here with me, as members of my court, you'll have wealth that rivals any system. Why go back to your old lives?
There's something the both of you need to know. She's not the last of her royal lineage. She's the first.
I don't understand.
Me neither.
The necklace. It's made of baby dragon teeth. Very rare. She's used it to keep herself young for a very long time.
And she knows it's the only way to reverse the virus.
But she chose to let the virus spread throughout her kingdom.
Why would somebody possibly want that?
Scruffy, as you briefly knew him, wasn't real.
Of course he was real. That's the most ridiculous...
Why, certainly. There's Great Gatsby's artifacts and antiquities. Just a few hours in hyperspeed from this fine establishment.
He was a hologram. A very good one.
But Scruffy said that his granddaughter was on the escapade. We risked our lives on that mission.
Don't listen to them. They are going crazy. They've been bitten, can't you tell?
We told you guys about her so we could find the whereabouts of the necklace. We didn't realize how dangerous the virus had become.
We're just pawns to you, aren't we? We're disposable once we're no longer useful to you.
Quite the contrary. The information you gathered is priceless. Think of all the people you'll be able to save. We came back to rescue you.
Matt, Charley, are you with me or are you with them?
Don't you guys think it's strange that she's the only one that survived the virus? She used the necklace, but she didn't use it to cure her own vanguard because they were the experimental subjects. Gatsby! You stepped in front of me to take the phaser blast. Why would you do that?
Looks like we'll have to reschedule that dinner date.
Gatsby!
Susanna, you shot him.
I was aiming for Jessica.
Susanna, is it true about you releasing the Frosties? Your own guard and all those people as lab rats in a twisted experiment.
It's more complicated than that.
Weeks before the AIs on other ships showed signs of corrupted data, the Escapade was the first ship in the passenger fleet offline. The first reported case of the cryovirus was on the Escapade.
That means...
Susanna was actively sending corrupted data out to the fleet.
Susanna is patient zero? What a stunning revelation about the Empress. Did Susanna start the virus? Will Matt and Charley make it out alive? And did all those delicious bunt cakes go to waste amidst the chaos? All this and more on the next adventure of the MidFlight Crisis. And that's our show. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember, we exist within the universe.
And the universe exists within ourselves. We're all the stuff of stars.
So have a stellar day, everyone. And thanks for stopping by our corner of the cosmos. This has been the MidFlight Crisis podcast. You can support important spaceship repairs and maintenance by subscribing to the MidFlight Crisis Patreon page. We'd love to hear your suggestions about the show and future topics, and we appreciate your support, ratings, and reviews. This endeavor is impossible without amazing listeners like you. Thanks for sharing your space and time with us. We'll see you on the next adventure.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop us a line at intrepidtransfer@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.